Western culture is delusional, really, and it makes all of us living in it kind of complicit in these delusions. Can we do anything about it? Let's see. My name is Liz Scarf. Welcome to Collaborative Learning. I can never say it right. Collaborative Learning for Cultural Repair. I'm going to slow down. One way to think about human societies is that they are made up of social contracts. That is, agreements about how to get along. And that includes everything, basically. So how to generate knowledge, what we do with that knowledge, the rules for relating, what we eat or don't eat, how we sleep, recreate, work, pray or not, rituals, states of consciousness, conflict, kind of everything. So we're talking really about culture here, and culture is basically how we do things around here. And a very wise teacher of mine recently said to me, it's full of social contracts, but many of which don't actually reflect reality. Like what? It's just because we agree to behave in a certain way or believe or pretend to believe a certain thing doesn't mean it's actually real. Now, this can have cultural benefits and cause problems in a culture, and there's probably no way around it, maybe because humans are just very imaginative creatures. But I'm wondering, are cultures whose social contracts closer to reality, are they more sustainable? And I suspect so, and I hope so. Are they more equitable? It's also an interesting question, right? So an example, because it always helps. In Western culture, economic theory is an excellent example of these kind of delusional social contracts not matching reality. So the models of economics that have dominated Western culture have two super cute and super self-destructive delusions or social contracts. And that is the first, we don't have to account for waste and waste disposal. And the second, resource supply is unlimited. Now, for all of us non-economists, these two assumptions just seem completely ridiculous, like bonkers. Of course waste is going to bite us in the butt. You can't poop in your own backyard without consequence. And what do you mean resources are unlimited? We literally live on a large rock with a relatively fixed circumference. The system is not endlessly open. Like, it's common sense, right? And these kind of economic theories, right, they are a knotty problem with a poor capacity for long-term thinking, drive to accumulate capital, issues of power and domination, etc. Really, really complex without any clear paths of causality and therefore no clear resolutions. And so for most of us contemplating how to change such a system, it's quite overwhelming, and rightly so, right, because we don't experience ourselves as a system. So what can we do, though, around bridging this gap between social contracts and reality? So we can at least explore, how does the pattern exist in my own life? So I sit with the question, how am I living my life based on delusional social contracts instead of reality? Now, it's a ridiculously big question, actually. And so I find using examples of these cultural delusions will help me kind of explore the question and ground it more, right? So when I think about this issue of waste, I can look at, how do I live like the waste I produce is not an issue, something I don't have to think about? And so I can look at my bins and other lifestyle factors to notice the kind of waste I'm creating, find out what happens with that waste, where is it going? I can think about, how could I take more responsibility for that waste without it kind of leaving the property, or, you know, where the down the chain kind of impacts are? What can I do there? Is there a way I can reduce my waste? So now I don't know what kind of impact this all has environmentally, some at least, sure. But in terms of repairing culture, I think it hugely matters, because we could live closer to the reality of what it takes to sustain life on this planet. Now, that won't necessarily be a pleasant process because we're so used to being buffered from this reality, but it seems important if we don't want to totally trash the joint. So there are so many other examples of social contracts that don't reflect reality. I'm not going to ramble off a whole list. I'm not sure how useful that is, but I would love to know some of the ones that you kind of notice and think about, and also any ideas you have or things that you do to kind of get closer to reality in your life. So just chuck them in the comments. I'd love to read about it. That's it for this one. Thanks for watching.